Happy Sabbath. Open for Q&A if anybody got any questions. Hope everybody had a good feast. Back to it now. Back to the basics. Like the brother said today, back at the top. Back at the top with the Sabbath. It's actually a blessing to be back to the Sabbath right after the feast, because the Lord said that this day is a day of refreshing. Yeah, a day of refreshing. All right, Sister Kim. Appreciate all that hard work this week. You and the sis did. You and the sisters did.
That's so funny, right? They got Queen of Sheba character as a sister, or she's the dark
Darker, yeah.
race, but then they'll show Solomon as a white
Right,
man.
man.
I be like, that's so weird. I mean, anyway, it's interesting. Same with Jesus. Jesus is up there in Egypt. Why is Queen of Sheba in the same region? Dark race with Jesus. These people who be doing these little,
They be knowing, you think?
I think they be knowing. Just
Yeah.
like what? Who let out them artifacts
Yeah, yeah,
of
of the
what them people look like in the Bible? He showed them like the
dark
artifacts in
people.
the old artifacts in a boat. He let them things out. He let them things out. And this was
I gotta
Sean.
see them.
Huh?
I said I gotta check that out.
Oh yeah, yeah. They go to Putin,
Type it in on YouTube or something.
Putin and the Bible artifacts he had in their vote. Yeah, he's showing them old pictures of Jesus and Mary and the disciples.
Mm.
Hey, you'll come from over there because you're gonna hit that Ethernet cord, man. Yeah. But yeah, you go to these other little like this right here, deep
Just
Bible
just
stores.
random little.
Yeah, they want to show everybody as white. They want to show everybody look white or they look Palestinian. Like, man, come on with that, man. And then you want to go down and show Queen of Sheba a dark race woman. Come on, bruh. Stop playing, man. Well, hold on now. What is this right here? The lost tribes of Israel, are they found? Okay, hold on now. Okay. Mm. Okay. Brother Jason. That's my boy right there.
L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Light skin.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, we be rapping. We be rapping it. We wrap it up every so often through the week.
Yes, sir. I
He
ain't
was
never met that bro.
he was really like gang affiliated, but he was by default. That's the real serious out there in L.A., boy.
Far as what's that?
Them gangs.
Oh, them gangs.
That stuff serious out there.
Mm.
It's kind of like whatever you see that's real common in Valdosta, whatever you see real common, in Tallahassee or Florida, that's like the common denominator out there in almost all of LA. Just about, I say probably about 60%. That front door locked, or is something else out there? Don't worry about it. If he might be out there. Don't lock it though. Take the phone to your mommy, boy. Okay, don't worry about it. Questions.
Yep, we open for questions. Anybody got any questions?
Go to your mama, Judah.
Got some questions. If anybody got any questions, we open for questions. But like I was saying, it's a blessing that the Lord feast. It fell right. The eighth day fell on the Friday, right into the Sabbath on 7th day on Saturday. So Lord said that the Sabbath is a refreshing. So that's a good thing. We can read that Exodus 31, covenant. And like the brother started the lesson yesterday, taking us just kind of showing the importance of covenants. Like, hey, this gathering, that's just fulfilling what the Lord had already promised to Abraham. To gather, all nations. You know what I'm saying? Thy seed, which is in all nations. He was talking about all nations. Everybody have a chance to come under the bond of the covenant, keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments. But this specific day that we giving right here, the Sabbath is a refreshing. So just read a little bit about the Sabbath day. We don't talk too much. I mean, you hear a lot of lessons we give on Sabbath. Just one of these basic 101 things, like dealing with the Lord one-on-one. You got to come by that Sabbath.
Yep.
Exodus 31 and the importance of this day. Exodus 31 verse 12, bro. When you get it, go ahead and read that.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying,
What'd he say?
Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that do sanctify you.
And that's what this is all about. We did a lesson today on the church. It's not the building, but hey, it's the people. And the Lord created this Sabbath for his people, for us. In other places they tell you, hey, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. The Sabbath day was put in place for us, And notice he said, verily my Sabbaths, with the S, and we just coming off today. This is our last back-to-back Sabbath of this feast year, and, we just got through with the Feast of Tabernacles, which is, an 8-day feast, and that's concluded. First, the 8th day are high Sabbaths, you know, and he's talking about those days as well, or Sabbaths. But he said that you may know, you got to keep this throughout your generations, you know, that you may know that I am the Lord that does sanctify you, know, because the Lord's always trying to continue to keep us set apart, you know, set apart from the wickedness in the world and from how things in the world are ran by man. Keep reading, bro. Verse 14.
Ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth shall surely be put to death. For whosoever do any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
And that's important. We don't want to be cut off from God's people. Plain and simple. Verse 15.
6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord.
Right.
Whosoever do any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
And he told us again, hey, whoever do any work on the Sabbath day shall surely be put to death. This day is very important. You know, even though, you know, you have people that say, well, this is the day that, you know, everything, you know, we be all work. We ain't got nothing. Nah, that's not true, because many people are working today. You look out here in the world, people working, selling, buying something. They do a whole lot of things we're supposed to do. But, hey, the Lord told us to set this day aside. He wanted us to set this day aside for our good. Verse 16.
Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant.
And a perpetual covenant, this is a covenant that's not ending, you know, forever. We got to keep doing this. Keep doing it. If you're new to it, hey, continue to do it. You know, hey, get in tune with it. You know, the Lord say his commandments aren't grievous. We're going to read in this next verse, it's for our good. It's refreshing. You know, we drink water or a nice cold Gatorade when we thirsty,
right,
and it kind of refreshes us a little bit. Not that purified water, like said. But, you know, we drink a sip of water, sip of Gatorade, things like that to refresh us, and we be looking forward to that. So we should keep that same energy with the Lord concerning his Sabbath. Keep going, verse 17.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever.
Forever. So, you know, hey, this is forever. It ain't ending. Keep reading.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and the sea. And on the seventh day he rested.
He rested, and what else did he do?
And was refreshed.
And he was refreshed. You know, he was able to get that energy back for the next 7 days. You know, the 7 day concludes the end of the week on Saturday. Then that, you know, those next 7 days, this is an opportunity for us to be rejuvenated, be refreshed. You know, gain a little strength, a little energy back for the next week, you know. Keep reading, verse 18.
And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai.
Upon Mount Sinai. And that's what we talked about in the lesson too. This is where he gave the oracles to the church.
Yep.
You know, at Mount Sinai. When what else?
2 tables of testimony. Tables of stone, written with the finger of God.
With God's finger. He wrote these. So these can't be changed. You know, they all over the Bible, Old, New Testament. And they can't be changed. They can't be changed. Let's go over to Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4. And we'll pick it up at verse 15. When you get it, go ahead.
And he taught in their synagogue, being glorified of all.
Being glorified of all. We just talking about Jesus, but we came here to see that, hey, Jesus even observed this Sabbath in the flesh. He not only gave it to us, but, hey, he gave it to us, and he came in the flesh and then observed the law that he gave, you know, as our example. All right, 16.
And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and as his custom was.
As his custom was. This is something that he normally do. This was like a routine, you know, something that he always did. As his custom was, what was it?
He went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for it to read.
And stood up for to read, you know, and that's what we do here on the Sabbath day. We stand up and read, and we not only read and have a teacher that teaches, we, you know, the congregation, the church, the people are actually with a Bible reading as well.
Yep.
You know, like that's what this is supposed to this is all about. It's for all of our learning, even the teachers learning.
Yep.
You know, Jesus stood up to read, and he was perfect, but you know, he was always learning from the Father. He was always learning from the Father. Revelation 22. Let's go to Revelation 22.
There, over there. Yeah. It's 2 sets, but it's
Revelation 22. We're just gonna read one verse about the commandments. Verse 14, Revelation 22 and verse 14. Go ahead.
Blessed are they that do his commandments.
Hey, so we got something to do, and what we're just dealing with is the Sabbath. We still got to be keeping this Sabbath. Remember, it was a perpetual covenant. It's forever, and it's one of the commandments. It's a part of the covenant that God gave to Moses to give to the children of Israel and to the other nations as well. But he say, blessed are they that do his commandments, that what?
That they may have a right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city.
So that's what we want a part of that. That's what we got to be doing. It's the Sabbath day. It's refreshing for us. And it gives, we get back to get a chance back at the tree of life. Because, we messed that up. Adam messed that up in the beginning, when he disobeyed God, So, hey, we that's why we keep this Sabbath, and we take joy in it, even though it can be rough, long week, but we take joy, and we like keeping the Sabbath. We like keeping the Sabbath. Got anything else on that Sabbath day, bro? Go to Isaiah 56. One more. Yep. Isaiah 56. Isaiah 56, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Isaiah 56 and verse 1. Go ahead, bro.
Thus said the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed.
And that's just a warning to us, keep helping us to keep in mind and warning us that, hey, make sure we keep in justice and judgment. That's what the brother was talking about in the lesson too, righteous judgment, being able to judge matters here on earth. Because, hey, there's going to come a time in the future where if we're so blessed, we're going to be sitting judging the 12 tribes of Israel and the world with the Lord.
Yep.
So we got to make sure that we can judge these matters. I would say keep ye judgment and do justice. He also let us know, hey, because my salvation is near to come. And we know people been telling us for a long time, like, well, the Lord ain't came back yet, or my grandma, she 95, and the Lord ain't came back yet. But, hey, the Lord is coming back. And he's near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Verse 2, what did he say about the Sabbath?
Blessed is the man that do this, and the son of man that lay hold on it.
Lay hold on it, that what?
That keep the Sabbath from polluting it.
That keep the Sabbath from polluting it. So not only do we have to observe it and remember it and rest, but we got to make sure we don't pollute it. Got to make sure we do it, keep it holy. That's why he say, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, making sure we don't pollute it. There's rules and restrictions to this Sabbath. Keep going, bro.
And keep his hand from doing any evil.
And we want to make sure we ain't doing no evil on the Sabbath and any time period. Keep reading verse 3.
Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord have utterly separated me from his people.
And notice, hey, you got the strangers that have joined themselves unto the Lord. So, Israel, a lot of Israelites like to say, well, salvation only for Israel, but nah, the Lord say, hey, don't let the son of the stranger that have joined themselves to the Lord speak, saying the Lord had utterly separated me from his people. Because, hey, this Sabbath is for all people. It's for everybody. Keep reading.
Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree.
Verse 4.
For thus said the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbath.
Oh, to the eunuchs that even keep his Sabbath as well. What did he say?
And choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant.
Because we got to take hold of this covenant, brothers and sisters. This is here on the table, but we got to, take hold. We got to learn this stuff and actually do it. That's up to us. Verse 5.
Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters.
Hey, he going to give them people, those strangers, he going to give them a name better than of sons and of daughters. I would give them what?
Give them an everlasting name. Not be cut off.
Verse 6.
Also the son of stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servant. Everyone that keep the Sabbath from polluting it and take hold of my covenant.
What he going to do? Verse 7.
Even them will I bring to my holy mountain.
To his holy mountain. And what else?
Make them joyful in my house of prayer.
And his house of prayer. The Lord's house don't just only belong to Israel. This house, that the Lord say he going to bring us to this mountain, and this house is the house of the Lord. It's the house of prayer. Keep reading.
Their burnt offerings and their sacrifice shall be accepted upon my altar.
The Lord going to accept the strangers that have taken hold of his covenant, their offerings, their burnt offerings. He said he going to accept it upon his altar. What else, bro?
For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people.
This is a house of prayer to those who have keep this covenant, take hold of this covenant for all people. For all people. Verse 8.
The Lord God, which gathered the outcasts of Israel, said.
So the Lord God, he gathered the outcasts of Israel. This is what he say. What he say?
Yet will I gather others to him, besides those that are gathered unto him.
So beside Israel, it's going to be others gathered unto him. And that's what, the Feast of Tabernacles is about too. That's a part of the Feast of Tabernacles as well. In gathering all the physical Israelites that have been scattered and those have taken hold of the covenant that are not Israel physically. So, just a little bit about that Sabbath and, the importance of the Sabbath and how much the Lord does, reverence the Sabbath day. And it's for all people, because I heard that it's not. I remember when I first started dealing with the word in the truth, they were saying that Israel, it was just only for Israel. And that was kind of confusing me, because I was like, it just didn't, it not confusing me, but it just didn't sit well with me, because I was like, God created everything. We know that. He created everything and everybody. So what it was everybody setting up all their own different types of entities, calling it God and worshiping them. So that's what the problem was. It wasn't just God. It was the people.
And that just goes to your point. It's like when you look at God and you look at the Sabbath, like the Sabbath is a shadow of things to come. So the Sabbath points to Jesus' kingdom being ran for 1,000 years.
Yeah, we can go read that, bro.
Ain't just going to be Jesus and Israel in the kingdom or in his kingdom. Nah, that was set up for all man.
Yep.
Where you going at, Revelation?
I was going to read that Colossians first.
Oh, yeah, Colossians, Yep, Colossians chapter 2. But Colossians 2.
16.
Yep, go ahead.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days.
You see that? Keep going.
Which are a shadow of things to come. But the body is of Christ.
You see that? The body is of Christ. All right? All of this is a body of Christ, right? Go over to Hebrews real quick. Go to Hebrews chapter 6, I think.
So it's crazy how this Hebrews it started with it took no Hebrews all the way back and brought them all the way to Christ.
All the way to Christ.
All the way to Christ.
Yep.
Man.
Took them. Yep, exactly.
Hebrews a deep book.
It is.
We got to get into that one too.
It is.
Yeah. Took them all the way back to all the way.
Not Hebrews 6, Hebrews 4. Go to Hebrews chapter 4. And check this out. Hebrews chapter 4, and go ahead and read, pick it up at verse 1.
Let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it.
So what is he talking about, the rest? We know that the Sabbath is the Sabbath day of rest. That's what he's getting at. The writers of Hebrews is letting you know we're talking about the Sabbath But he taking you back to an event that happened within the Bible as to those that wasn't going to enter into his rest because of unbelief. But the ultimate rest we're going to show you is that Jesus' kingdom is the rest that we itching to make it into. But we see right here, it says, let us therefore fear, lest the promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short. What it say in verse 2?
For unto us was the gospel preached,
Yeah.
as well as unto them.
Yeah.
But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it.
You see, it wasn't faith. Keep reading, though.
For we which have believed do enter into rest, as he said,
Yep.
as I have sworn in my wrath, if they shall enter into my rest, although the works were finished from the foundation of the world.
Go ahead.
For he spake in a certain place of the 7th day on this wise.
That what?
And God did rest the 7th day from all his works.
So look at what we getting at. We getting at the weekly Sabbath, right? But ultimately, hey, this is a shadow of things to come. Letting you know is that the weekly Sabbath is really, a small replica of Jesus' kingdom that's going to be set for 1,000 years.
Right.
And it ain't going to just be Israel inhabiting Jesus' kingdom. Because even Jesus said in the gospel, hey, the children of the kingdom are going to be cast into outer darkness.
Right.
And then you're going to have others that's going to come and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in his kingdom.
Man.
What are you talking about right here?
Sabbath.
So just letting you know is that, hey, the world got to get on board with this. But again, hey, the rules to keeping the Sabbath is what the brother just ran to you. We're supposed to be observing the weekly Sabbath. We're supposed to be doing that according to the commandment because it's much bigger than the eye can imagine.
Right.
It's much bigger. So it says right here, it says, seeing therefore it remain. Where you stopped at, verse 4?
Stopped at verse 4, yup.
Yeah, read 5 now.
And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest.
Go ahead.
Seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief.
Enter not in because of unbelief. Go ahead.
Again, he limited the certain day, saying in David, today, after so long a time,
Yep.
as it is said, today if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts.
Go ahead.
For if Jesus had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day?
You see that? So you saying Jesus, we saying Joshua, right? But we do know is that, hey, Joshua didn't give them rest.
Right.
No, he didn't give them rest. Because if he had gave them rest, then like he just said, then he would not afterward have spoken of another day.
Right.
But the another day that he's talking about, first of all, go to Psalms 95 real quick. Psalms 95, Joshua, Jesus, Yeshua. Hey, it's all translated.
Yeah.
Translated about the same tongue, about the same saying. But look at Psalms 95. Psalms 95, and pick it up at verse 7. 7 and 8. Go ahead, bro.
For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture,
Yep.
and the sheep of his hand. Today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your heart as in the provocation,
Yep.
and as in the day of temptation in the wilderness.
That what?
When your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my work.
Yep.
40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and said, it is a people that do error in their heart,
And that what?
and they have not known my ways.
Go ahead.
Unto whom I swear in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest.
And he was talking about then they wasn't going to go into Jerusalem. Because he allowed them to wander around in the wilderness for 40 years.
Right.
And they didn't enter in. See, the lesson that we just taught on Bible in Plain View about teach the babies in Deuteronomy chapter 1, hey, he allowed those that had no knowledge of good and evil to enter into the land with Joshua.
Man.
But just letting you know is that, hey, the Lord said these people ain't going to enter into his rest. What rest he talking about? In Jerusalem when he come up and set up his kingdom for 1,000 years. Go to Genesis chapter 3 real quick. Genesis chapter 3, because again, hey, in Hebrews chapter 4, he quoted this. He quoted this just letting you know it had to be a rest after Joshua. It had to be a rest that he was talking about after Joshua, because if it wasn't, there would be no need of speaking of another rest.
Gotcha.
There would be no need of it. So look at this Genesis chapter 2, not 3, Genesis chapter 2, and let's pick it up at the top, verse 1.
Thus the heavens and the earth were finished,
Yup.
and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made.
Yup.
And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made.
You see that? So God rested from the creation, right? God rested from the creation, but you got to understand, after man sinned, we had to go a whole nother 6,000 years to now enter into the rest. We are currently at the brinks of entering into Jesus' rest for 1,000 years. We at the brinks of it right now. We had to go back through because we sinned. Now that we sinned, man had to work another 6,000 years. And now we on the brinks of entering into Jesus' rest, which is what Hebrews is talking about, which is what David was talking about. Go over here to Peter real quick. Because when you look at these 1,000 years,
Right.
1,000 years ain't nothing but a day. That's a day.
Right.
That's all it is to God. It's 1,000 years unto man. This is why Methuselah, the oldest man in the Bible, was short of a day of like almost 31 years, 21 years, because he lived to be 969.
Right.
He was 21 years short of living to see. 31 years short.
Yeah, 31. Yeah.
31 years short of living to see a day, right? But that day would be consist of 1,000 years. So look at this Peter real quick. 2 Peter.
I remember when I first came into the world telling somebody about that 1,000 years. I read that to him, and
Yeah.
they was like, "Man, you got that ain't what that means. That's crazy, But they mind couldn't really wrap around it like that, though.
Nah, of course.
Which is, hey,
Of course they ain't gonna wrap
deep,
around.
though. That is deep.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. 2 Peter chapter 3, and let's read on verse 8.
But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing.
Yeah.
That one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years,
Yeah.
and 1,000 years as one day.
You see that? Hey, one day unto God is 1,000 years unto man. Right? So now this day that Methuselah was short of 31 years is 1,000 years, because he lived to be 969.
Yeah.
Go look at Revelation 20 real quick, because this is the rest that we talking about. The rest that we talking about, hey, is entering into Jesus' kingdom. So he gave you a prelude of it when he told you, hey, them people that wandered around the wilderness for 40 years, guess what? They ain't going to enter into his rest. Talking about Jerusalem. But at that time, it wasn't Jerusalem to come that's going to be right here. It wasn't this Jerusalem right now, but that's all a shadow of Christ. It's all a shadow of Christ, because when Jesus come and set up his kingdom for 1,000 years, this is it. So look at this Revelation 20. Revelation 20. And let's read, pick it up at verse 2. Oh, you know what? Start at 1. Go ahead, bro.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand.
Go ahead.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
You see that? Bound him 1,000 years, right? Bound him 1,000 years, because in Jesus' kingdom, the devil ain't going to be running free like that. He ain't going to be running free, so he going to be bound for 1,000 years, because it's what? 1,000 years of rest or peace. That's what it's going to be. Now, sin is still going to be going about, but it ain't going to be to the grand scheme. It ain't going to be on a worldwide scale as it is right now. Because now you're going to have Levi the priest. They're going to be back on the scene. So you're going to have offerings for sins, animals being offered up for your sins, going to be going about. You're going to have the law right there in front of you. Right there in front of you. So when you act wrong, you're going to get done wrong. But peace is going to be somewhat a little established. Right? Hold your finger right here. We're going to come back to it. Go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 13. Look at what I mean by what I say, peace going to be, held to a little, just a little. Not Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14 and pick it up at verse 1. Isaiah 14 and verse 1. Go ahead, bro.
For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Go ahead.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve.
You see that? The Lord is going to give you rest. Keep reading, bro.
That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased.
Go ahead.
The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
Go ahead.
He who smote the people in wrath with the continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered.
Talking about the devil.
About saying, okay.
Talking about Satan. Satan is he's now being persecuted. Right? His persecution is going to be him locked in the bottomless pit. Because look at what verse 7 says. So now that he's locked in the bottomless pit, what it say in verse 7?
The whole earth is at rest.
You see that? The whole earth is at rest now. The whole earth is at peace. Because the one that has been, ruling the nations in wrath with the continued stroke, hey, he is now being persecuted and nobody can stop it. So now, hey, the whole earth is at rest, and what else?
And it's quiet.
Go ahead.
They break forth into singing.
We talking about the Sabbath. The whole earth is going to be at quiet. Go back now to Revelation 20. The whole earth is going to be quiet, brothers and sisters. Now pick it back up at verse 2, bro.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
Go ahead.
And cast him into the bottomless pit. And shut him up. And set a seal upon him.
You see that? He being persecuted. He being locked away for 1,000 years. He can't rule these nations with wrath anymore. So now and guess what? Guess how many angels bound him? Just one angel. Just let you know, hey, man, the devil ain't got none on God. It took one angel to bound the devil. Just letting you know, them angels that roll with the Lord ain't no joke. So he says that, hey, he's shut up and set a seal upon him that what?
That he should deceive the nations no more. Till the 1,000 years be fulfilled.
Go ahead.
And after that, he must be loosed a little sea.
He got to be loose. But keep reading though, bro.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls that were beheaded. I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
You see that? They lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Peter just told you in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 8. Right? That, hey, 1,000 years unto us is one day with God. It is one day with God, but it's 1,000 years unto us.
Right.
So Jesus' kingdom is going to be ran for that 1,000 years. What does that 1,000 years represent? Today. It represents the Sabbath. Look at what else it say, verse 5.
But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
This is the first resurrection. So, hey, if those didn't get up in the first resurrection, they're going to have to be in the grave for 1,000 years. And then they're going to be raised up to the great white throne judgment. So you're going to be asleep, and then the Lord going to wake you up, and now you're going to be standing before God being judged. Not just by God, but by those that are sitting on the 12 thrones judging the nation. Not just only Israel, but the nation. Keep going, though.
Verse 6, blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. But they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
They're going to reign with him for 1,000 years. So, when you're talking about that Sabbath, you got to be understood of the rules. You got to be understood of the rules on keeping the Sabbath. And in order for you to get into the Sabbath, you got to know the rules. If you don't know the rules, you're going to be like those people who the Lord allowed to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. He said they ain't getting into his rest. And at that time, they weren't getting into Jerusalem because they killed them off in the wilderness before they could enter into Jerusalem.
Right.
But now he talking about, boy, he going to kill you to the point where you physically ain't going to make it in there and spiritually you ain't going to make it in there. So you know that's that greater meaning behind the weekly Sabbath. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, nobody ain't going to get on, but I know it might.
It's going to be people, so potentially kids that are being born right now. They could possibly live all the way into the great white throne judgment.
You talking about kids right now?
Yeah. Or that ain't even been born. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe even just, just looking at time, it look like we getting closer and closer. You know, it don't look like we got long, like hundreds of more years or nothing.
So you saying, let me just be clear what you saying. They could live until the great white throne judgment.
Yes. So if they don't die, like the ones that don't die.
So let's say, for instance, like CJ and Judah.
Yes.
All right. They don't die. They live. Die.
Yes. And, well, Lord willing, if they was to get in the first resurrection, but it could be people that don't even. I don't
think. Like, let's say the Lord. Okay, so if the Lord come back, let's say in about 20 years.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the people that's not dead, because it said the rest, and.
Right. The rest that they didn't live.
Yes.
They. Verse 20. Verse what? 4 or 5.
The rest of the dead live not again until those 1,000 years were finished.
Yeah.
That's the dead that didn't get up in the
That's
first
the dead that can get up, right.
So the ones that are living through all of that.
I think the ones that's living through all of that
still might die.
They still might die.
Okay.
Or they might be spared.
They might be spared.
They might be spared. They might make it into the 1,000-year millennium.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And
because
live through that.
Yeah, because I don't think. Because go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 65. Go ahead. Say what you're about to say.
I was going to say, didn't it say, I don't know where that said about a child may die at 100.
That's what we finna go read.
Oh, okay.
Isaiah 65.
So they can live a long time.
Yeah. Isaiah 65 and pick it up at 17. It's in 20, but pick it up at 17, though.
Isaiah who? 65 and 17.
Yeah.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind.
Yeah.
But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy.
Go ahead.
And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying.
Verse 20.
There shall be no more thence an infant of days.
There ain't gonna be no more thence an infant of days. Go ahead.
Nor an old man that has not filled his days.
Go ahead.
For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed.
So the sinner going, you're gonna be like a baby at the age of 100. But yeah, he's still saying is that the sinner though, the sinner, it says, being 100 years old shall be in a curse. So it's like when you look at people who make it, I take that back. I said you got some people who just may make it. They ain't gonna just make it into the kingdom like that. You know what I mean? Like they ain't just gonna, like we read yesterday in Isaiah 35. Well, you ain't gonna just err in here by,
Yeah, just by.
You know what I mean?
Just fell in here, boy.
Yeah, that ain't happening. You know what I mean? But I think that they may die, bro. You know what I mean? Like they may not. Because he said in Revelation 20, those that was in the grave gonna remain in the grave until 1,000 years be completed. So it could very well be individuals who are dead, I don't know. I gotta think. My mind gotta wrap around
You
that.
gotta just wrap around it.
Yeah, my mind gotta wrap around. Because I do know, like, I don't think. What I don't think is that little children gonna get resurrected. I don't think
That's what I was thinking. Like, if they,
I don't think they're gonna get resurrected. That's like
these people in their first resurrection gonna be laborers, ones that have labored this thing.
Yeah, I think them gonna be the ones
to execute some judgment on
Yeah,
earth.
yeah,
Been able to, you know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Not
that's
saying
what
Jesus can't teach
but
a little child or
but
something.
I think he gonna have them set up to be ruling in his kingdom. Them younger ones that's too young to get resurrected. I think, cause look at this, look at Isaiah 66. In Jesus' kingdom. In Jesus' kingdom. Look at this Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66, and read on. Oh, let me call my wife and tell her, man, don't let them kids mess up that keyboard, man.
Yeah, my phone about to die. We got a question online. Oh, she got.
The can.
Mm-hmm.
We see you, Sister Phyllis. We finna come to you. But look at this Isaiah 66, though. Isaiah 66. And let's read. Pick it up at 20. Go ahead.
And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord.
So look at what he said. They're going to be offered up, right? Now, it sound like big people, right? It sound like big people. But let's keep reading, though, because he gonna say something else pertaining to some little people. Go ahead, bro.
And I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain.
You see that? So shall your seed remain. You know what I mean? But look at what he doing, though. It's almost like he finna start all over with Aaron. Okay. You know what I mean? Like what was going on with Aaron? Aaron and his children, they was Levites. So now he bringing up, it says what? He says, and they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations upon horses. Then he said what? I will take them for priests and for Levites.
Yep.
And then he said, and your seed shall remain. So it's almost as if like, I mean, when I see that, it's like
in the future
set
up a whole new generation.
He gonna set up a whole new generation of Levites, and I think that them children, bruh, them children that's like not really age of understanding like that. I think this is my thoughts. Not saying it's concrete. Not saying it's the Bible saying this. These are my thoughts. I just think that the Lord might not resurrect them, but I think the Lord is going to have them ruling inside of his kingdom. You know what I mean? Ruling, like when you look at the days of Moses. You know, they had young men. First of all, you had to be a certain age to work in the Senate, to work in the temple.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think they're going to be grooming them boys. Like this right here, I think this is a grooming stage. Them boys being groomed. That's just what I think. You know, I could be 1,000% wrong.
They get to be like Judah. See, if they get to be like 25 years from now,
Yeah.
they could be resurrected in.
They could be.
It could possibly be.
They could be.
Yeah.
But
And this could all be a grooming part for them now.
I think the Lord, he got a mercy clause. I think he'll let them. I'm just saying. This what I think, right? When I see that young, cause then that young, boy, you still can mess up. So I think he'll probably put them boys to work. That's mercy. Instead of killing you, I'm gonna let you work in my kingdom and get yourself right. That's just what I think. You know what I mean?
Right.
But cause like, man, just think about it. I know some 20 years older, some 24 years older in the truth right now.
Right.
And if they ain't holding their hand real tight, oh boy, look at here. They gonna be partaking in this, that, and I know some young folks in the word that died young. Behind influence of the crowd. You know what I mean? Certain type of things were going on. I just think that's a mercy clause to if the Lord 20, 24, 25, here, come work in the kingdom. You know what I mean? That's just what I think. But you could be spot on what you saying too, Brother Cam. But
yeah, I was just thinking about that when they was talking about, but the rest of the dead live. You know, what about you a young? I was just thinking about them young ones around that time. But they could grow to be very old. Well, 100 years old.
Yeah. And that's considered a baby.
At
100. Long life gonna be back on the table because now the Lord on the scene. So shoot, they could change right then and there. Cause the Lord here, just like what was going on with Moses. Moses kept going up to see the Lord, and he was taking on a change. The Lord is gonna be here for 1,000 years. People can begin to change. That's amongst the Lord. Yeah. So that's why I think what we was talking about yesterday about them people making out of great tribulation. I don't really see them people going through the Jesus kingdom for 1,000 years as mortals. You know what I mean? It ain't a lot that we could read on that, but just the idea they washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb through great tribulation.
Right.
So
they got baptized during great tribulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought somewhere.
Yeah, they had to be.
And just scrambled. So that's why he basically like applauded them like,
yeah.
Boy, y'all made it through great. And
Boy, y'all was willing to lose y'all life for my sake.
So they good.
They good, bruh. I just don't see them though going through the 1,000 years. I see them probably like changing. They probably might go into the beginning of the 1,000 years and they might just get changed. You know what I mean? But you know.
They might start in the 1,000 years
and they might just
mortal.
get changed.
So that
kind of like with Enoch. Yeah, kind of like with Enoch, but not in the sense of because Enoch ain't got his body. He's somewhere preserved or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying. But we know he ain't taste death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and the death we talking about is that's appointed to all men to die.
Right.
He ain't taste that. The first death.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just think that some people, bro, that they gonna be in the presence of the Lord. Like, they going to see him in his glory, bro. They going to see him in his glory. But Miss Phyllis Campbell.
What she got?
Scripture that protects and strengthens you to keep the victory over contrary thoughts, emotions, feelings that may come to shake your faith. But you'll bring all them kids downstairs?
Yeah, Sister Phyllis, that's a good question. Scriptures that protect and strengthen you to keep the victory over contrary thoughts, over your emotions, over feelings that may come to shake your faith. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10.
Okay, good.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, we're going to look at verses 3 through 5, 3 through 6. Sis, that's a good question. And, that's where the battle is for all of us. It's in our mind. That's where the battle is for all of us. Once you come into the truth, before dealing with the word, you thinking like your enemy is like a person or a specific thing or, really mainly people. But, really the enemy, which is Satan, is going to attack us in our mind. And just a few scriptures that come to mind real quick that can give us, strengthen us, protect us over those is this one is the first one that came to my mind. 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 3. Go ahead and read that, bro.
For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh.
So sis, though we are flesh and blood, we're not warring after the flesh, and I'm pretty sure you already know that, the brother was saying in the lesson today, like, these character building lessons that we're doing is really equipping us to fight the war in our mind that's going on in our mind. And a lot of things coming out of our mind, emotions, all of that starts in your mind. Somebody can do something that can offend you. It offends you in your mind at first. You heard people say that, man, that just killed my mind, because all of this goes on in our mind. So that warfare is in our mind. But though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Verse 4.
For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds.
We're just talking about his word. We talking about, the words that he has given us. That's what's going to help us cast off all that darkness that's in our mind. Emotions, whether it's controlling, strengthening us. Hey, we got to fight all that off with the words of God. Keep reading verse 5.
Casting down imaginations.
Casting down those imaginations, because that's what's coming in our mind. The imaginations going in our mind, what we're thinking, things that that just be planted based on what we see or what we going through. It all goes on in our mind, but we got to learn to cast down those imaginations. And what else?
And every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God.
Anything that's that's trying to go contrary to what God has already shown us through his word. We got to cast that off. Keep going.
And bring it into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
And now once we know the word, we got the knowledge of God. Now we want to bring our thoughts into, the word is the filter. So now all of our thoughts, everything, our emotions, we get weak. Whatever we dealing with, we're going to filter it through the words that are in the word of God that we have now in our mind. Verse 6.
And having in the readiness to revenge all disobedience.
Now we trying to, we fighting against all that disobedience. And what else?
When your obedience is fulfilled.
When your obedience, when you actually follow this word, now you can fight off those things that's coming against you. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 31. And this is just going to kind of look at, says that's just kind of, what we need to do, when kind of dealing with that mind, we going to, cast off all those, all those imaginations that really ain't with God. Actually, go over to Ephesians chapter 6, bro. Sorry, bro. Ephesians chapter 6 real quick.
Okay.
You had another question?
I don't have your number.
And we're going to look at right here real quick. It says this armor that we got to put on, this is the knowledge of God that he has given us. He's given us not only the enemy, he's not only introduced us and shown us the truth about our enemy, which is Satan, and ourself, our own mind, but he's also given us this warfare we need to put on. He's giving us this warfare. And after this, we're going to look at what the Lord...
What now?
Ephesians 6, yeah. We're just going to look at this warfare. And once we look at this warfare, we want to look at, what the Lord told Moses and what he told, Joshua, to be strong and good courage. Fear not. He's always with us. Things of that nature. We got to keep those scriptures going too as well, sis. Playing in our mind. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. Go ahead and read that.
Finally, my brother,
Uh-huh.
be strong in the Lord
Uh-huh.
and in the power of his might.
And sis, hey, he talking to you as well. He talking to the sisters as well. He's saying, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. You know, just keeping your mind, your body in subjection and being strong in the word of God, in the Lord. That's how we be strong in the Lord. Verse 11.
Put on the whole armor of God,
Uh-huh.
that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Hey, because the devil got many schemes and many traps that he's trying to catch us up with. You know, so that's why he say, hey, you got to put on this whole armor of God, this spiritual armor. This spiritual armor, verse 12.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Same thing he told us over there in 2 Corinthians 10. You know, the war is against, hey, it's not a flesh and blood war. Hey, this is a spiritual war. This is why he say, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but what?
But against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Hey, against spiritual wickedness. It's a spiritual warfare. It's a spiritual warfare. You know, we as servants of God in a wicked world. You know, so we're going to be constantly fighting against, hey, the wiles of the devil in this world, hey, the wiles of people that aren't dealing with the Bible. You know, we constantly fight, but this is what Paul is telling us what to do. 13.
Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand.
And that takes us back to 2 Corinthians 10 and 4, where Paul say, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're mighty through God to the pulling down the stronghold. Where these strongholds at? In your mind, sis. So these scriptures is what's going to give us the strength to endure it and to be able to overcome these things. Verse 14, what else?
Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with truth.
With truth, so you got to have the truth. You're not going to overcome these obstacles in this world in a spiritual warfare fighting with falsehood, fighting with lies. You got to be standing on the truth. Keep going.
Having your loins, where you at? I'm sure. Having your loins girded about with truth.
And what else?
And having on the breastplate of righteousness.
Always walking in righteousness. Always walking in righteousness. Verse 15.
And your feet shod with the preparation of peace. I'm sorry, with your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace.
With the gospel of peace. Hey, we peaceful wherever we go. You know, keep going.
Above all,
pay attention, sis, because this is what's going to help you be able to use all these different things, because without this, you can't please God. So it say, above all, do what?
Having your faith, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked.
Right, because your faith is what's going to be able to help you fight. Keep going, bro.
And take the helmet of salvation.
Keeping this in mind. Keep going.
And the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God.
Which is the word of God. Says, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 31.
Hold on.
Deuteronomy 31. Pick it up at verse Deuteronomy 31. And pick it up at verse 1.
Bro, can you hold on for a second? Because
see that question again. Deuteronomy 31, verse 23. Deuteronomy 31 and verse 23. Pick it up at verse 22.
You said 21 or 31?
31 and 22.
All right, 31 and 22.
Yep. And this just talking about, this strength, having courage and strength over these emotions and, different types of feelings that we may be dealing with in this walk. Because it's going to come. It's going to come. 31 and 22. Go ahead, bro.
Moses therefore wrote this song the same day and taught it the children of Israel.
And this is about to be after Moses is about to die. He's turning this thing over to Joshua. But look at what he told Joshua, because he understood Joshua was going to be the one that was going to carry the children into the land. He was going to go out and conquer all these nations. But look at what he told Joshua. Same way with us. Because, I liken that to we're on this walk and this path to salvation, trying to conquer trying to overcome everything in this world. Mm-hmm. And we're going to need this same mindset as we go through these things. We may not be out here warring, trying to take down nations like Joshua was, but ultimately we trying to fight against ourselves and Satan, trying to overcome these things to get into the kingdom. But look at what he told Joshua, 23.
And he gave Joshua the son of Nun a charge.
He gave him a charge. What'd he say, bro?
It said, be strong and of good courage.
Be strong, sis, and of a good courage. Times are going to get hard. Emotions are going to overwhelm us, but we got to keep a good mind and good courage. Good courage in knowing that what we're doing, we're serving God the right way, and he will be our strength. Keep going. Right.
For thou shalt bring the children of Israel into the land which I swear unto them.
He told them, this is the problem. You're going to bring these kids. You got to be strong and of good courage, and you're going to bring these kids into the land. And what else?
And I will be with thee.
And I will be with thee. Same with us all the way to the end. That's right. We hoping that, if we can keep these commandments and continue to endure this, that the Lord will be with us all the way to the end. Let's go to Isaiah 41.
That's my favorite spot right there. I think this is it.
Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41 and verse 10. Go ahead.
Fear thou not, for I am with thee.
That's pretty cut and dry. This is the Lord talking by the mouth of Isaiah saying, fear thou not, for I am with thee. And a lot of times it can feel like the Lord is far from us in certain situations. But, we still got this word that's never changing. So we got to stick to this no matter what our situations are, sis. We got to stick to this. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not what?
Dismayed.
Don't be confused. We have been made and subject to like passions. Everything that Christ went through, we might get a little touch of it. Not saying we might get it in its totality like Christ, but we might even have to die for the word. What did he say? Don't be dismayed. What else?
For I am thy God.
He is our God, talking about the God of Israel. The God of the Bible, the God of covenants, the God that gave us all these laws, statutes, and commandments. Stay with him. Keep going.
I will strengthen thee.
I will strengthen thee. That's what you asked. The God of the Bible saying he will strengthen thee. What else?
Yea, I will help thee.
I will even help you. We got to keep that in mind. And I know a lot of times I get very mentally distressed and burnt out in my mind. But, this for me too. I'm glad you asked this, that, the Lord is with us. He will help us. What else?
Yea, I will uphold thee with thy right hand of my righteousness.
I will uphold thee with thy right hand of my righteousness. Go back to Deuteronomy chapter 31, bro, in verse 6. One verse. Deuteronomy 31 and verse 6.
Who?
Deuteronomy 31 and verse 6, and then we're going to go to the new book just a little bit and look at it there. It says Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. Deuteronomy 31 and verse 6, and he kind of said the same thing right here, but just to keep in mind that the Lord don't leave us. He ain't going to forsake us long as we doing our part by keeping his commandments. Deuteronomy 31 and verse 6. Go ahead, bro.
Be strong and of good courage.
And of good courage. What else?
Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he it is that do go with thee.
It's the Lord that go with us, and what else?
And he will not fail thee, nor forsake thee.
Nor forsake us. Let's go over here to Hebrews chapter 13. Hebrews 13. And verse 5. 13 and verse 5. When you get it, go ahead, bro.
Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have.
For what?
For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee.
Going.
So that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper.
The Lord is your helper, sis. You know, we can't trust man. You know, the Lord is our helper. You know, even us teachers, hey, check behind us. You know, but, hey, this is going to help you overcome these struggles in this life, realizing and knowing this is all a mindset thing, that the Lord is our helper, and what else?
The Lord is thy helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me.
I will not fear what man shall do unto thee. Where is that Jesus said, fear not them?
Matthew or Luke? How much is it? Oh, it's big? So, oh, yeah, all you got to do, when that happened?
Bree.
Oh, I can already tell you who did it, because they going to, it's. Tips. They ain't gonna wash that off right.
One more spot says Matthew 10 and 28. Matthew 10 and 28.
Oh, if it's back there by a camera, we're gonna pull up the camera feed. Yeah. I don't know who did it. But if it's a camera back there, all we got to do is pull up the feed.
Matthew chapter 10 says, and this just to end that about the fear, you know, not fearing man, not, you know, because man, a lot of situations we go through on our jobs, like, we, you know, man putting they fear, man, you know, will make you try to fear them. You know, man will make you try to feel like they are in control. But this is just something right here to just keep it, you know, keep it business being business, meaning, hey, making sure we know that, hey, nah, the Lord is the one we should fear. You know, the Lord is in control of all of this. Matthew 10 and verse 28, bro. When you get it, go ahead.
28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul.
But what?
But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
That's who we need to fear, sis. That's who we mainly need to keep our fear on right there, the Lord. You know, so I hope that kind of helps, sis, with that. It's many more, but, you know, that's pretty much it on that one. What Jacob now was talking about?
I don't think this is another Jacob.
Oh, okay.
I think this him right here. Okay. Shoot, I'm gonna sit here for a little while longer. Good job, bro.
I didn't know if you needed that.
Oh, this for the shirts. Yeah, cause Sister Kim them they got a print. They got the press. Everything. Yeah, some old entrepreneurs. Yeah, he had to. He had to. So yeah, that's what she was telling me is that they got the print stuff. All we gotta do is just come up with the shirts and buy the shirt. Come up with the design and buy the shirt. Yep. Yep, that's it. Who you talking to? Who? Oh. Okay, all right, bye. We still live. Okay, all right, bye. We still live. All right, sis. All right, Sister Bree. All right, CJ. Peace. Have a good have a good day at school, man. Oh, it didn't do nothing. Uh, where is it at? When we got here? Where was it at though? Okay, okay. Are they them jokers probably did it a while ago. You know what I mean? Okay. We still live, okay? So move. Can you move? Yes. 'Cause that's who we looking for. All right, sis. We're waiting for Brother Cam to come out. Y'all sit down. Let me see them keys, man. All right, now go back over that way. We still live, so y'all watch out for a second. We're just gonna see how many people chime in. If nobody don't really chime in, then we're gonna close it out. Michael, y'all probably did this a while ago. Y'all probably didn't do it just recent, so I don't know. But we got cameras though. We got cameras around this joint, so it's always just easy to just come clean. You know what I mean? Like that save you, right? That prevent you from, you know, getting a really bad hand. Okay. There you go, bro. All right, Hebrew. Man, y'all drive safe, bro. All right, man. Okay. All right, bro. Go get your mama phone from upstairs. Peace. Not you, Zuri. Why I can't remove my number? All right, I see you, Sister Phyllis. I'm just trying to remove. They won't let me remove my phone number. That's funny. They'll let me remove all the other comments, but they won't let me remove my phone number. That's fine. It's all good. All right, so what is the difference between sundown and sunset? This is for someone that follows Google time and not the Lord's darkness. Yeah, I don't follow Google time either, sis. I don't follow Google time either because sunset is just kind of like when the sun ain't out anymore, right? The sun is set. Yeah, just put it right on the table. The sun is set, right, in our hemisphere of United States of America, right? But it's not set in California. They 3 hours behind, right? If you're on the East Coast, you 3 hours behind the West Coast, or the West Coast is 3 hours behind the East Coast. Hey, come from the door. Go in the bathroom out there. Go out there in that one. Micah, go in there with her. I, and I'm not going to keep repeating myself. So, like I was saying, depending on which part of the country you're in, like the sun ain't set. Meaning, like, when the sun is set here in Florida, the sun ain't set in California. Because, again, it's a 3-hour time difference. So, in other words, we're not going off of Google. We're not going off of Google. It's because Google tells you sunset today, right? Sunset at 6:44. And again, it's just talking about when the sun doesn't appear in the sky anymore. Dictionary, it says the time in the evening when the sun disappears or daylight fades. So that's sunset again when somebody's in there with him. Somebody's in there with him. When the sun disappears within the sky, or you begin to see the sun fading or daylight fading, right? So let's look at the Bible, right? The difference between sunset is that sunset is the sun not appearing in the sky and daylight is fading, right? But let's look at the Bible. Let's go over here to let's go over here to John real quick. Now let's look at another definition. Sit down. Let's look at another definition. Dawn, right? It says the first appearance of light in the sky before sunrise. Sit down. So dawn, right? Dawn is, let's say, the first hour, right? So the first hour would be considered dawning. So sunset is no longer, you see the sun and daylight is beginning to fade, right? Dawn is the first sign of light from night, right? So, I put up that definition is because look at what occurred over here in John chapter 21. Not John 21, John 20. It says, the first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark, right? It was yet dark is because look at what it said. It says the first day of the week. Meaning we at the what? Evening, right? Let me make sure that I'm getting this correctly. I'm sorry. Evening and morning is what made a day, right? So we at the end of the weekly Sabbath, but when you at the end of the weekly Sabbath, you at the beginning of the first day of the week. So we're at the evening we're at the evening going into the first day of the week. So that's why it says yet dark, because what? Sundown today, which would be evening and morning, right? Morning and evening and morning. Dang, I'm tripping. Hold on for a second. I got a brain. I just had a brain freeze. I got to go and read something. Sorry about that, sis. So in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 23, the fifth day, it says in the evening and the morning were the fifth day. All right. So at the end, the beginning of the Sabbath, right? The beginning of the Sabbath begins at Friday sundown, right? Friday sundown would be the evening of the weekly Sabbath. And right now we're in the morning of the weekly Sabbath. When the sun goes down, we're at the end of the weekly Sabbath, and we're in the evening of the first day of the week, right? So this is why John 20 is saying what it's saying. The first day of the week come Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark, right? It was yet dark. Why is it dark? Because we're at the end of the weekly Sabbath and the beginning of the first day of the week, which would be evening, which would make it dark, right? It would make it dark. And it says into the sepulchre, and see if the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Go over here now to Mark real quick, because Luke. Luke is going to say something, the same thing, but he's going to say, or he's going to use different verbiage. I don't want to use Luke. I want to use Mark. Because Luke 24 says, now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, right? So, he's saying very early in the morning is because it is beginning to dawn, right? It's dawning towards that daylight, right? Dawn means, again, the first appearance of light in the sky before the sunrise. So look at what Mark says. And I'm going somewhere with this. So kind of on. And it's Matthew too. I'm looking through all the examples, and it's Matthew. So Matthew on, this is what I'm looking for. Matthew 28 and verse 1. It says, in the end of the Sabbath, so look at what it's saying. The Sabbath is over with. At sundown today, the Sabbath will be over with. And guess what we're entering? We're entering into the evening of the first day of the week. That is what we're entering into. We're entering into the evening of the first day of the week, which we know of as Sunday, right? So in John chapter 20, Mary Magdalene went to the sepulchre early in the morning, right? Or early. No, it said as it was yet dark. It didn't say nothing about early in the morning. I think it said that in Luke or in Mark. But anyhow, now over in Matthew 28, it says in the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. Well, what do you mean dawn? Because like the definition says, the first appearance of light in the sky before sunrise, which would be the first hour, right? We see in the Bible, we see them identifying time with the first hour, the third hour, the fifth hour, the sixth hour. What you got to understand is that the first hour would be at dawn, the appearing of the first light in the sky, right? Depending on what season of the year, usually 6 would, sometimes be at dawn, meaning the first sign of light in the sky, right? But before that first light appeared in the sky, before that it was evening, meaning it was all dark, right? That's why we read John 20, because John 20 told us that, hey, it was dark early in the morning, right? Now Matthew is saying as it began to dawn towards the first day of the week, letting you know we at the morning aspect of the first day of the week now. We're at the morning aspect of the first day of the week, and Jesus had already been risen. Or he had already risen, right? But Matthew gives you an account, Mark, Luke, and John, they all give you accounts on what is daylight and what is darkness. Daylight is day out, like right now. Darkness is darkness. Sunset is when you don't see the sky anymore. You don't see the sun in the sky anymore. Doesn't mean that the sun isn't up, or doesn't mean that the sun is still, not reflecting its light. Like, no. The Sabbath begins at sundown. Let's go over to Nehemiah real quick. It's not sunset. We're not going off of Google, because Google is just giving you, when the sun is going to set. What you should ask Google is, what time will it be dark in the state of Florida? What time will it be dark in Jacksonville? That's what I'm going to put. What time will it be dark in Jacksonville? See, look at what it gives you. See, we're not looking at sunset. See, that's what it's giving me right now, right? It's saying sunset at 6:43, but it's not answering my question. Astronomical twilight is giving me that. Nighttime, that's what it's talking. That's what I want to look. So at nighttime, it will be nighttime, like completely night, completely like dark. It says 8:04. That's what it says. I'm sorry. It got a couple of different times, but I see what it's doing. I see what it's doing. It's giving me times according to the season of the year. So it says right here, it says, see, yeah, exactly. Solar noon is giving me, time frames according to the season of the year. So right now it's saying 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the night. And then the day, 12 a.m. to 8:04 p.m. But anyhow, let's just look at what the Bible says. See, Google will get you all tricked up, because it got me a little tricked up. Not from the Bible, but just different school of thoughts when we talking about when is it dark and when is the sun setting. So the sunset and dark is not the same. Sunset is when the sun is no longer seen and the daylight is fading, right? That's what Google defines sunset as. But what I'll say is, when the sun doesn't appear in the sky here in Jacksonville, the sun is still up and bright in Los Angeles, California. So we can't really define when the sun goes down off of Google, because Google is not even telling you it's dark. It's telling you sun is set. So let's go according to the Bible, right? And the Bible tells us, real simple, the Bible tells us when the Sabbath ends and when the Sabbath begins. Nehemiah 13, and I'm going to start at verse 18. Do not your fathers thus and did evil? Do not your fathers thus and did not our God bring all this evil upon us? and upon this people, upon this city. Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark, that sounds like it may be debunking the Google theory of when it's dark. It says, when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut. So these boys, they dealing with the Sabbath when, or they're dealing with when the Sabbath come in, it's dark. And that goes back to John 20 and verse 1. Let's go and read that again. Because maybe I should have read Nehemiah 13 and then I should have went to John 20. So now when you look at John 20, we already read it, but we're going to read it again. It says, the first day of the week come Mary Magdalene early when it was yet dark, right? She's there early because what? The Sabbath day is over with, and now the first day of the week is on the table. Shoot, we don't know. It may be 4. It may be 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. But we do know it had to be, it may be 4, 5 o'clock in the evening. But we do know, though, that it had to be near the dawn of that morning. Because the dawn of that morning is when you will see the first sign of light in the sky. So we do know it had to be near that time frame, but we also can understand is that according to the Bible, is that when the Sabbath begins, it begins at sundown, and when it ends at sundown, not sunset. So we can't really be following Google and allowing Google to tell us, when the Sabbath is over with and when the Sabbath begins. Because just think about it. Go to Genesis chapter 1 real quick. Like the Lord gave us these signs in the heavens to teach us of time. Right? Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. We're talking about the fourth day. It says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. You got to realize, all of this dealing with seasons, days, and years, that's calculated with time, right? That is all calculated with time. Or better yet, we use these seasons, days, and years to calculate time, right? This is how some of, time is calculated with seasons, days, and years. But what lights are we using to calculate, signs, seasons, days, and years? We're using the lights in the firmament. What lights in the firmament? 15. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, talking about the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So, we using the lights in the firmament to tell us the time. We can't really be going off of Google because, shoot, you could be in a cave somewhere with no internet service. You could be out on the water somewhere with no internet service, right? You could be, without internet service. And God gave us something so simple that we could use to gauge time with, and that is with the sun and the moon and the stars. Right? So, sunset and darkness is not the same. Sunset, according to Google, is when the sun doesn't appear in the sky anymore and the light is fading. That lets you know right there it can't be dark because it's telling you the light is fading. According to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 18, it says to rule over the day and over the night. So the sun is still ruling. Even at sunset, the sun is still ruling the day. It's still ruling, it's still winning because the light has not completely faded away. It has not. It is beginning to fade. That's what's happening. It is beginning to fade. And what's winning or what's ruling at night? The moon. And there's not always a moon out at night. That's cool. But at night, for the most part, there are stars out. So that's just letting you know is that, the sun is going to rule the day. The moon is going to rule the night. Sunset, the sun is still ruling the day. So, the difference between sundown and sunset. Sundown is the sun is completely down. According to Nehemiah, we're talking about darkness. According to John 20, we're talking about darkness. All right? Sunset, the sun is still up. You just can't see it in the sky. The daylight is fading. So, yep. So I hope that was clear to you. If it wasn't, please let me know. Let me know. No. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any questions? All right, I got your number. On Brother Jacob. So I'll hit you up. You should have told me. I don't care about my number being on YouTube. I think I told the brother before, hey, man, only thing that's private about us is our bank accounts. I mean, you know what goes on in my bedroom between me and my wife, that's private too, but really, we don't really have a private life like that. So that all of our skeletons can be out in the open. If any of us got any, if we already don't put all our skeletons out there in the open, now what can you hang me by? You can't hang me by nothing. Not saying that we should be, conjuring up new skeletons to put in our closet. Like, nah. We trying to be following out the example of Daniel. He was held blameless. We trying to follow out the example of Christ. So, I go on this rant to just talk about my number being on YouTube. I don't care. That's why I put it out there. You know what I mean? I don't really care. But that other phone number on there is not my number. But now I know you hit me on the IG. So, I'll give you a call. Yeah, I'll give you a call. Any questions? Somebody post on a group chat I'm on asking do you think Jesus was born around tabernacles? And I had to think about it. I was like, I wouldn't say he was born. I would say he probably was conceived. I would think that he probably was conceived around, that time of the year, and that he was born somewhere around the new year. Yes, ma'am. You got any more questions, Miss Campbell? Miss Phyllis Campbell? You are a top question asker. So, like, you keep us on our toes. So, if you got any more questions, please feel free to ask away. But yeah, I responded with I think that Jesus was, like I said, probably conceived. And then another brother on the group chat, he made a funny of it. He was like, yeah, after partying, you know, that type of stuff can go down, but we know he wasn't conceived by Joseph, so it wasn't nothing like that, as far as in him, Joseph getting a little tipsy, then coming home and laying up with Mary, and now you got Jesus. Nah, we know that ain't happened. You know what I mean? But it was just a funny, though. It was just a funny how, yeah, that kind of stuff do go down. Shoot, John the Baptist. John the Baptist was conceived like that, by his daddy. Okay, cool. But John the Baptist was conceived like that, you know, by his dad. I can't look at it. Luke chapter 2. I gotta think of his dad's name. I couldn't think of his dad's name at the moment. But not Luke 2. Zachariah, that's his daddy's name. Yeah, I'm tripping. But Zachariah, Zachariah, that's how he had slept with Elizabeth. He slept with Elizabeth, who is John the Baptist's parents. But yeah, John the Baptist was conceived like that, but Jesus wasn't conceived that way. You know what I mean? But, that's what I had simply replied with. And it's just a thought, because when you look at, the birth of Christ, it's a little few evidence to just show that it couldn't have been December. How they try to say he was born, December the 25th, or they try to associate that with his birth. Nah. But look at this Matthew chapter 1, though. After I get finished reading this, if we ain't got no more questions, we're going to go ahead and close it on out. But Matthew chapter 1, and it's in Matthew 2. Why are we still talking about it? Like, what's the need? Yeah, what's the need of still talking about it? It's Matthew chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2. And And I'll start at verse. I'll start at verse 6. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently that time the star appeared, he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him. And when he had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto them gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream, they that should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. But where is it at? Hold on for a second. Hold on, I'm looking for the spot where I'm looking for something. Hold on. I just found it also interesting that how the Gospels, a lot of them don't start the same. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is like Luke and Matthew, they kind of start off somewhat with the birth of Christ. But Mark and John, they don't really start off like that. You know what I mean? Like John started off talking about the word was the word. And Mark talk about, it almost talk about his baptism in the beginning or in the opening of the chapter. But Zacharias saw him trouble and fear. I'm trying to see something because I don't want to speak on it if I can't find it. Man, return. Shall have joy. This will be exactly like. Don't worry about him. This is the son with her who was called barren. I can't find what I'm looking for. Yeah, but you know what I just came across though, and this gonna be it. I just came across is that so Jesus and 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 John was kind of conceived and born around the same time. So I just peeped something. So it said I'm in. What I was trying to find was I think it says something in Matthew. In Matthew it talks about this angel or like some people was out tending to the sheep. They was out tending to the sheep when they saw this light appear in the sky, right? And I had did some research some time ago on cattle in the wintertime. Like, is it normal for cattle to be out in the wintertime? Now, you know, some people don't have barns, right? Some people didn't have barns. So this is why they made coats and stuff for their horses. They put, the little bit of cattle they did and kept like hay stocks and hay barrels around them. So some people wasn't, really um, wealthy enough to have their livestock stored in the barn houses, in the peak of winter, right? But during the peak of winter, sheep ain't really out grazing like that. They not. They're warm-blooded animals. Yeah, of course. They have a lot of wool, but cattle, they not really out grazing like that because for one, what are they grazing? It ain't no real grass out like that because it's all desolate during the cold time of the year. So this is why an influx of hay would be fed to the animals around that time of the year because they not out grazing. So you got them in the barns that can afford barns, but this would be what would be the feed for the livestock. But east before child, and they saw the star and they rejoiced with exceeding joy. They would come in the house, they saw the young child. See, I can't even find it. And I think it's right around here. I don't want to use Google. I'm trying to get away from using Google, so I'm going to go to it, though. What I need to put in. Is it Matthew 2 and 10? That ain't it. I can't find it, y'all. Anyhow, but go back over to this Luke, though. This is something I'm going to probably dig into later on in my own little studyings. But just looking at John when he was conceived, right? John was conceived, this says, in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God into a city of Galilee named Nazareth to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary, right? So we seeing that what? It says in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent, right? So this is how Jesus was conceived. Jesus was conceived by the Holy Spirit, not an angel. The Father planted Jesus inside of Mary, right? But look at what this say, though. You had them. You had them. Yeah, but look at what we just read, right? We just read in Luke chapter 1 and 26. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God into a city of Galilee, right? Now look at verse 36. And behold, thy cousin Elizabeth, she have also conceived a son in her old age, and this is the 6th month with her, who was called barren. So she's 6 months pregnant. Like Elizabeth, she's 6 months pregnant. So that means it look like John is like 6 months older than Jesus. Right? Because now 40 and entered into the house of Zacharias and saluted Elizabeth. And it came to pass that when Elizabeth heard the salutation of Mary, the baby leaped in her womb. Because now she don't heard the news that Mary is now with child. Meaning, because look at this. I missed this verse 24. And after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived and hid herself 5 months, saying, thus said the Lord, dealt with me in the days wherein he looked on me to take away my reproach among men. Oh, man. Where my pen at? Dang. Cal hit me. That Jake got me for my pens. I know he ain't steal them on intentionally. He ain't do that. But he got me, though. Nah, I got one right here. Nah, I just seen something. Reproach. Check that out. It says, thus hath the Lord dealt with me in the days wherein he looked on me to take away my reproach among men. Talking about now, hey, well, she conceived. She's pregnant now. Like before she was barren. Right? So the Lord removed her reproach. Right? But this goes to that Isaiah though. I read this in Isaiah chapter 3 and 4. I like that right there. Hold on for a second. Let me put that. That's a footnote right there. See, I be making my own footnotes. Right now, just kind of, I ain't really got nothing too much going on. I'm trying to give, I know we started Q&A a little early. You know, somebody might have some questions, somebody might not, but yeah. Luke 1:25. All right, so look at what it says. It says, and in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent. What do reproach mean in the scripture? What do reproach mean in that scripture that the Lord removed? Oh, that she was barren. Yeah, because look at what it says. It says, I start at verse. It says, Zechariah saw him trouble, he fell. But the angel said unto him, fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink, and he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God, right? Yeah, barren ain't good. I ain't going to say it's a curse, but the Lord closed up on Rachel's womb. So it wasn't a curse. It's just that, it's something that he calls not to happen. Or having a baby wasn't, he prevented Rachel from having babies for the moment. So it's not so much as a curse. Just think about Sarah. Sarah was barren. You know what I mean? Why are they going up there? Yeah, Sarah was barren. She just said don't go up there. The keys are not up there. But Sarah was barren. Not saying that it's a curse. It's just that the Lord prevented them from not having babies at the moment. Nah, but it's not a curse. So it says, Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. But you got to realize that having babies was a great thing to do in the days of Moses. You know what I mean? In the days of Sarah, in the days of Mary, in the days of Elizabeth. Like having babies was a great thing. You know, in our time, babies ain't even a thing. People got birth control. People got, abortions. Like people don't delight babies as a real inheritance that's coming from God. So like the women wanted to give their husbands, especially a boy. That's something that they wanted to it's almost like they blessing their husband with a baby, but it's not. It's really God doing this. But the reproach was that she wasn't able to have a baby cuz look at she had a baby in her old age. So it says it says and this is why the Lord allowed Zechariah not to even be able to talk, because he didn't believe. He didn't believe. He laughed, right? He laughed, or he had some type of doubt. It says, and it came to pass that while he executed the priest office, I'm going to skip down to verse 12. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. The children, it says, he shall go before him in the spirit of the power of Elias. 18, and Zacharias said unto the angel, whereabouts shall I know this? For I am old, an old man, and my wife well stricken in years. So they old. And the angel answered and said unto him, I am Gabriel that stand in the presence of God, and am sent to speak unto thee. And he showed thee these glad tidings. So these are glad tidings. Did you find them? Did you find them? Did she find the keys? I don't have them. Glad tidings. And the angel answered said unto him, I am Gabriel. Verse 20. And behold, thou shalt be dumb and not be able to speak until that day these things shall be performed, because thou believest not my words, which shall be fulfilled in their season. So he didn't believe because he like, man, we old. Right? We old. Right? So now, skip down to verse 23. And it came to pass that as soon as the days of his ministration were accomplished, he departed to his own house. And after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived. Right? She conceived. She just got pregnant and hid herself 5 months, saying, thus hath the Lord dealt with me in the days wherein he looked on me to take away my reproach among men. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God unto a city of Galilee named Nazareth. So it's, reproach in this sense. In this sense, we just talking about like, shoot, she wasn't able to have babies, right? She wasn't able to have babies, so the Lord removed that reproach. But look at this over here in this Isaiah, though. This is another type of reproach, right? It ain't good. Nah, it ain't good. You know what I mean? We talking about this reproach. It ain't nothing good. So I ain't gonna read all of Isaiah 3. I'm gonna read, some of the key notes, just so we know what, Isaiah is talking about, or who this chapter is referring to. It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and the women rule over them. So we got children that are oppressors, and who's ruling over them? The women. Usually it's supposed to be the fathers, but the children are the oppressors, and the women are ruling over. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. Who leading the children that are oppressing the people? The women, right? And look at what they doing. They causing thee to err and destroy the way of the path. The Lord stand up to plead and stand to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the anxious of his people and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. I'm going to start at verse 17 now. No, 16. Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks, talking about women now. Stretched forth necks, talking about the daughters of Zion. That's what he said. And wanting eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion. And the Lord will discover their secret parts. And in that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls and their round tires like the moon, and the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers and the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, talking about this woman, talking about the daughters of Zion, how he going to break them all the way down. He going to remove this stuff, right? 22. The changeable suits of apparel, the rings, the nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel and mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins. But now look at what he's going to do. I'm going to skip down and I'm going to read 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of a well set hair baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and a burning instead of beauty. You see that? Like, the daughter of Zion, she's beautiful, elegant. That's what she was before, but now the Lord got to humble her. The Lord breaking all of that down now to the point where she used to smell good, now she going to be stink. You know what I mean? Like, she used to have all this nice fine apparel. Now she is going to be rent, meaning it's going to be ripped in half, or it's going to be in rags, right? Thy men shall fall by the sword, and the mighty in the war. And in her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground, right? So chapter 3, we talking about the daughters of Zion. The Lord is bringing them all the way down, abasing them, right? Now look at what they trying to get up off of them. They trying to get the hand of God up off of them, because that's who, he had his hand up on Elizabeth. When she was barren, he had his hand up on Elizabeth. So now look at what they trying to remove. They trying to remove the hand of God. So chapter 4 and verse 1, it says, In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, right? Because this ain't really talking about, a man having multiple wives. That ain't even what this conversation is about. This conversation is about this, to take away our reproach. Well, what is our reproach? What we just read in chapter 3. You're going to be stank instead of smelling good. You know what I mean? You're going to be bald-headed. Instead of a stomacher, you're going to have a girding of sackcloth. Like, you're going to be, you came from beauty and glamorous to now rags and raggedy. But how is the reproach to move? Because now you taking man as your head, and that's how your reproach is removed, right? But this is all God's hand. This was God's hand on Elizabeth. This is God's hand on the daughters of Zion. Did you find them? Oh, I knew that. I just want you to walk around some. Don't. All right, man. She don't. So, look at this over here in Genesis real quick. This will be the last thing. Genesis with what is you? Why is you pushing her like that? Look at this. Look at. Let me show you something. Uh, Genesis. Genesis on. Check this out. Hold on. Let me show you something. Hold on. Genesis 29. Don't go over there, Deja. No, don't go. No. Get from over there, please. I don't care. Go sit out there in the lobby area. Genesis 29. And look at this. It says, and when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, so look at what happened, right? The Lord saw that Leah was hated because Leah was, the Bible said that Leah was tender-eyed. The Bible says that Leah was tender-eyed, right? So she wasn't the favorable of the two. Rachel was favorable. So look at what it says in verse 31. It says, and when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened Leah's womb. He opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. He closed up Rachel's womb. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. She gave Jacob his first 4 boys. You know what I mean? But the Lord allowed Rachel to be barren because Leah was hated. So, you know, all I'm showing you is that the Lord had his hand in all of this. That's really it. You know what I mean? The Lord had his hand on Elizabeth. The Lord had his hand on them women in Isaiah chapter 3. And now we see is that the Lord had his hand on Rachel. You know. So, you know, reproach is just, shoot, the Lord is kind of like preventing, in the sense of Elizabeth, she wasn't able to have a baby. She didn't have a baby until she began to be in her old age. You know what I mean? So that's kind of it. All right, so we ain't got no questions, so we're going to go ahead and close on out. Nah, we good. Put your head covering on. Let's face Jerusalem and close out. What? Okay, what's your question? Okay. Can you get a head covering on your head, please? Zion, can you go get a head covering? Don't do that. Get her a head covering, okay? Do you normally do that? Do you normally do that? You put some on your head, right? So don't do nothing weird today, all right? Put those Bibles, Micah, put those Bibles back over there. All right, we finna face rules and close out. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.